Nick, Jackie is not here. Vasily, where's Greek Thunder Part 2?
Here.
There you are. Allie Girl, she's here. Kevin, nope. Fiona, nope. Fiona's crushing it. I think Fiona's missed 1 point in this whole class. All right, Steven, I did get your email. When you're watching this, expect an email back. Isis, Ashton, Kennedy, Armand, Ben, Tokes, Leo. Where's Leo at? There's Leo. All right, and Terry. Okay. All right, so you have a quiz that is on online. You guys should be able to see it. Let me just make sure. Take it right now. Giving you a heads up also, it's 4 minutes. So I would take 2 minutes to read, 2 minutes to code. Oh, Coca-Cola, you are so delicious. All right, is anybody still taking the quiz? I think they're all done. All right, here we go. All right, for international students, I'm going to stop recording. All right, here we go. So I'm going to open up Eclipse. What I want you to do, go ahead and make a new project, new class, make it anything you want. What I want you to do right off the bat, I want you to give me a global variable named name, a string variable named name, and an int variable named age. Go ahead and do that right now. You have 1 minute. Go. Again, for international students, you're creating a new project in a new class. You are giving me in the class, you're giving me a global variable name and a global variable age. Okay, are we good? Perfect. All right. So one of the things that I wanted to really discuss to you guys is I want to go over. So we're going to cover a couple of things. Now, one, okay, is let me close this so I can just have more room. All right. So one is we're not going to see each other for 4 days. Okay. Normally this would make Ashton really, really sad, but it makes me happy. So we're going to not see each other for 4 days. So we're going to really kind of go over things at a more quicker pace than normal. Okay. So first thing that we're going to do is this, okay? Make a constructor, okay? Make the constructor accept both the parameters, both the same name, and initialize the global variables with the past parameters. All right. Now, what I also want you to do, I'll give you 1 minute to do. First of all, how many of you guys got this? How many of you guys felt comfortable making a constructor and initializing the global variables? Who did not feel comfortable? Good, perfect. Now, 30 seconds. Make a default constructor. Set the values to null and 0. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, deuce, uno. All right. Quiz. Age equals 0. Name equals null. How many of you got this? Raise your hand. Perfect. Now let me ask you this. Did you guys feel comfortable with the terminology that I used? Did you completely understand when I said make a default constructor? Vasily, this is an example of what type of a constructor?
Overloaded.
The overloaded constructor. Very good. The key thing is, again, guys, I want you guys to understand the terminology. Now, the other thing that I'm going to start referring to, this class in particular, and I told you this is called the tester class. This class right here, where all your methods are, you will hear me refer to it from now on. It's called the super class. So if you ever hear me say, go back to your super class, I am talking about this class here. That is the real terminology. That is how, for example, if you have a job, they will say, oh, pull up the super class real quick. Okay. That is the real terminology. Okay. So that being said, we're going to go over here. We're going to make an object. Okay. Quiz A equals new quiz. We're going to just say John, and we're going to say 5. Okay. Now, what I want you to take a look at is this. We're covering 3 different slight concepts today. I want you to take a look at this. Let's say I wanted to print out A. I ran this. Quiz at 6FF3C5B5. Now, how many you guys would not have that? Do you guys know what that is? What that actually is the actual address of the individual byte on your RAM in your computer, where it starts or where it is stored. Okay? Not all of you might have at 6FF3C5B5. Okay? Some of you might, all right? So that being said, how do we bypass this? Most programs have what we call a toString method. And the toStrings method is simply an identification. Okay? So for example, I'm going to say public string toString. Open and close brackets. All I'm going to do is say return. The name is name. And concatenate both variables, okay? And age is okay. And as you can see, this is a string variable, okay? Now notice that this is a toString method, okay? Most of the time, as you guys know, with strings, I have to use the dot operator to call on a method. Not with a toString. A toString is automatically identified. Okay? A toString is automatically identified. All right? And what they do is they add toStrings just in case I need to see what a particular object, especially like if I have 10 or 20 or 40 or 2,000 objects, I need to see a specific one. I can call on that specific one and just see what that one is. Okay? So now what I need you to do is this. Okay? What I need you to do is, this is I want you really quickly right now, in the tester class, create an array of 10 quiz objects. Mine is called quiz, yours can be whatever, okay? I just called mine quiz because that's where I made your rubric, okay? So create an array of 10 quiz objects. Then initialize them to null and 1. What do I mean by that? The string portion is null and 1. Okay, so do that right now. Take a couple minutes to do that. All right. So you guys know how to make primitive arrays. You guys know how to make string arrays. Quiz arrays are no different. This is an array that is only going to hold quiz objects, okay? So I'm going to say quiz array A, or Z, we'll say Z, equals new quiz 10. You got that? Who did not get that? Okay, here's the understanding that you have to have. I can make an array of quiz objects as long as there's a class called quiz that is in the same project folder or something like that. The tester class is going to be able to identify that it's there. Okay, so with the quiz array, so what this does is I've made an array called that will only store quiz objects. Okay. Now, the initialization portion can be a little tricky. For int j equals 0, j is less than, I'm going to say z.length. Again, get used to using the .length property, and then j++. And what I'm going to say is this. Now, there's two ways to do it. What a lot of people do, well, they'll do this. Quiz t equals new quiz null and 1. And then what they'll do is they will say z index j equals t. How many of you guys did that? How many of you figured out how to do this? Raise your hand if you didn't. Raise your hand if you did. Okay, so basically what you've done is you've made a quiz object and you've stored it. What you have to understand is when you say quiz array z, you basically have done this portion 10 times. Okay, now this is one way to do it, and frankly, it's fine. However, it's not the way I would do it. Since this has already done the quiz, whatever, all we have to use at this point is the constructor. New quiz. New quiz and 1. That's it. Okay. Now, what I want you to do right now, so again, key thing, guys, remember, when you've done this, the minute that you do this, you have to assume that it has done, it has created the first part of a quiz object 10 times. To initialize an object, you need to use the constructor and you need to finish it. It's not a primitive. It's not a string. You need to use the constructor to initialize it because technically you have made 10 objects. You haven't initialized them yet. You can only initialize them using the constructor. So now what I want you to do is I want you, okay, knowing this, what I want you to do, so we're going to erase this for right now. And we're going to erase this for right now. I want you to initialize quiz with the letters A through J, which are the first 10 letters of the alphabet, and the numbers 1 through 10. Hey Siri, set timer for 2 minutes. Okay, time. Who's got it? I will provide soothing sounds of the ocean to help you guys. Angels to fly. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, so what we're going to do now is this, okay? So here's, this side was easy. J plus 1. How many of you got that one at least? Raise your hand high. How many of you got that? Raise your hand if you didn't get that. Allie, what did you put for there?
I got it started at 1.
Did you just leave it at J?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh, wait, what?
I made a separate variable. I made like int y outside of it. Set it to
Is that okay? So think, is that the smartest thing to do?
no.
So don't do that. That's inefficient programming. You've just now wasted memory for no reason. Okay. So what we're now going to do, here's what we do. Okay. Take a look. Be ready, because I'm going to blow your socks off. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to say int, let's say A, am I using A? Equals 65, okay? Int A equals 65. Now what I'm going to do is this. String, do I use A somewhere else? Oh, I did, B. Okay, I'm gonna say it B. String, string C equals null plus a casted character of B. And then let's see. And if I wanted to print out, now that all of these have a toString method, I can now say Z index J. I run this. Okay. So ignore that first one. Oh, whoops. Oh, sorry. 65 plus J. Sorry, I forgot to do that. Okay, 65 plus J. There we go. Because it'll be 65 and Y, because the ASCII representation of 65 is A. Remember, I should told you guys need to pretty much just know what capital A is. If I wanted to know what lowercase a is, what do I add to 65? Who remembers the number?
32.
32. Okay. So 65 plus J, then I cast it. And because it's a character variable, I have to use null first. A name is A and age is 1. Name is B and age is 2. And I have just created 2 quiz variables. Okay. So what we've done is we've covered how to create an array of objects, and we've covered the toString method. Now on the AP, believe it or not, the toString method is not tested. And that actually bothers me. I don't know why, because believe it or not, it's a very important method. It really is. I don't know why it's not tested. You more than likely will never be asked to write the toString. On my test, I may say something and listen. Okay, I may something like add an identification method in case I wanted to print out the object. What am I talking about? The toString, okay? So now let's go back to our superclass. Does anybody have any questions regarding the array and the toString before we move on? Guys, we have the time, okay? We have the time. This is the last day this is the last class period. I'm sorry, this is the last period of the day. You have the time. So ask me.
Mr. Marty?
Yes.
So what's the difference between using the toString versus something else?
What do you mean?
Why am I using toString instead of
Let's say, for example, let's say you don't know what methods are in quiz. So maybe you don't know that there's Maybe there is a method that does spit this out, but you don't know what it is. What's the safe thing to always be able to do?
Use toString.
Okay, bingo. All right, so use toString, bingo, all right? So that being said, anybody have any questions regarding that? Does that answer your question, Nick? If you know what you initialized it to and you have no idea what another method is inside the superclass, and you know that there's a toString method in it, it's the safe bet. Okay? All right, so that being said, let's move on now back to the superclass. I'm going to close the tester for right now because I don't need it. Okay?
Question.
Oi,
Why does it go to toString?
what is that?
Why does it go to toString? Because in the code it's not referenced anywhere.
What, the toString?
Yeah.
So remember I told you the toString is a special method in Java that when you're calling upon an object, if it's there, it will default to it. Okay?
If there's an object there?
So for example, like a quiz object that we made in the superclass, let's say you tried to print that out and it didn't have a toString. It's just going to print out where it's located via memory. But if you have a toString there, by default, when you try to print an object, the first thing it will look for is if there is a toString method. Java programmers program Java. So if you're trying to print out an object, first thing you should look for is a toString method. Now,
Okay,
is it, Ali? Is it required? No. Did our methods work fine without it? Yes. But it's common practice to add them. Okay. Benny, you had your hand up. What's up?
Yeah, so do we basically use toString if we have a return type that isn't a string, but we want to use like a double or an int? We want to use it with a string. Is that what we use this for?
Repeat that question again.
If you had like public double and then in a parameter is like double x, and you wanted to return the value of the double, but you wanted to return other stuff with it, is that when you could use toString?
toString, okay, no, not necessarily. toString, so you know how you're initializing your global variables. You know how we just initialized 10 random ones. Let's say you had 100,000 of them. And you were basically doing and basically what you wanted to do is just do a printout of what each object is, okay? All the public toString is basically giving you, all it's doing is just telling you, okay, this is what the global variables were initialized to. It's probably the best way to think about it.
Got it. That makes
It's
sense.
just you saying, hey, remember, in this particular object, you initialize the global variables to this, this, and this. Now, also at the same time, it's the important ones. You don't have to initialize or you don't have to print out every global variable that you initialize. Generally the important ones. For example, like name, age, things like that. Okay. So for example, think of the MySC, like the portal. Every student is basically a student class, and you guys are initializing a string variable, an int variable for your age, an int variable for your grade, in terms of like your grade level, a double for your marks, et cetera, et cetera. And basically when we print out student, or we print out a student list, every one of those things on the back end has a toString that prints out all of those. Is that kind of making sense now, how objects work?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so going back to this, the last concept that I wanted to cover for today was overloading. Let's say that I had public int age, int x, okay? And all I did was return x or age, okay? But then I had public string age, public int age, string age, okay? And I returned age, okay? Now, sorry, whoops. Oh, there we go, okay? Take a look. This is an example of, now up here we have overloaded what?
Constructor.
Instructors. But down here, these are overloaded methods. These are overloaded methods. How do I know they're overloaded? same name, different parameters. Do not be confused. Even though I use the name X, the parameter types are different. And that's what matters, the parameter types, okay? Without errors, you will see this on a quiz, okay? For example, X string age. Okay? Now you will see this obviously without the red lines. This is not method overloading, okay? The return types have nothing to do with overloading. Does this have the same parameters as this? Yes. What if I do this?
It's different, right?
Nope. It's
the
still a
same.
single int type, right? Isn't it? The name of the variable doesn't matter. The type does. Now, is this legal? Yeah. Why? Because this has one parameter, this has two parameters. Completely different, right? You need to understand those rules. They will go after you. Now, you generally won't ever have to write a overloaded method on the free response, okay? But they will kind of go after you on the multiple choice. They'll throw in some overloaded methods on the multiple choice. So you kind of have to have that concept down, okay? All right, so right now we just covered the overloaded methods. We've covered overloaded constructors, okay? Now, generally the overloaded constructor, this is the original, whichever comes second is the overloaded, okay? But both combined are examples of overloaded methods, all right? Does anybody have any questions regarding this? Anyone, please. Again, guys, last class of the day, we have the time. All right, so that being said, you guys, okay, so you guys' homework is going to be, because I ended up changing on the fly what I was going to do and covering like a few more topics. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be writing to you guys, or I'm going to be writing a custom method or a custom homework assignment, okay? I might not put it on tonight, all right? You've got 4 days. I don't see you tomorrow. I don't see you Monday, okay? Armand, please, no tears this time, all right? Some of you, a couple people in this class will be getting an email, okay? We will meet. You need to make time for me because it will benefit your grade by doing so. A couple of you who did not do that great on the test will be getting an email from me, and we will be going over the exam individually or as a group, doesn't matter, okay? Not a time to be proud, at about 3:30. So make time. If that doesn't work for you, if you're Jewish and it interrupts with Shabbat, Shabizzle, I completely understand, okay? But let me know ASAP. But again, you'll get that email soon, and it behooves you to be there. Does anybody have any questions? All right, Kennedy.
Are you going to be doing a review session this weekend?
So I am going to do it. Right now, the plan is to do a review session Sunday. I was going to do one today, but I have to see that shit show that's going to happen tonight, okay? And again, you guys know my rule. I don't talk about politics. We can laugh about it. I don't care. My code works, whoever's in office, gay, straight, black, white, Hispanic, whatever. I don't talk about that stuff in here. There's no need to. So it's a great place to be in, okay? But again, as we both know, it's probably going to be a shit show, and I want to watch every second of it. So, all right. So that being said, is Kennedy, figure about Sunday night, maybe even Monday would probably be better. That way you guys can get at least mentally back into it quickly before we go into class. Also remember the 29th, you guys are clear. B block, hopefully, knock on wood, B block will be there. I have to write an email to the teachers saying like that we have a guest. You know, it's completely up to your discretion whether or not you let them out. Okay. All right, so that being said, anybody have any questions?
The test is officially back.
Test is officially not going to be next week because we have too much to cover. We still have a lot to cover, guys. I can tell you this. your next quiz or your next test, probably very good chance it's only going to be one free response question. The good news is it's one free response question. The bad news is it's my free response question. so, okay, guys, great class. Love this class. Arguably one of my favorite classes. So keep it up. If you have any questions, let me know. Feel free to email me. Review session tentatively Sunday evening, more than likely Monday. And again, for a couple of you that did not do well, you guys will be receiving an email from me. Make time at 3:30. No time to be proud. We can go over it as a group. It behooves you to be there. Okay. International students, you have any questions, let me know. Test officially moved to week after next.
Mr. Marty?
What?
Is it bad on the test or this quiz?
Did I say test or quiz?
I don't know.
I said test. The last test. Okay. So why? Did you not do well on the quiz?
Yeah.
Look at the bright side. IKEA job fair this Saturday. Okay. So, all right, guys, have a good one. I'll talk to you. Nick, it's a joke. Relax. All right. Bye, guys.